Hi students, welcome to the chemistry sessions. So what I have brought for you today, I have brought a set of 10 questions for you, CBSE pattern, for the organic chemistry, the main chapter of organic chemistry that you have studied in the 11th standard, that is some basic principles and techniques, right? So we'll be discussing different kinds of questions for that, and I need properly revised chapter from you guys so that you are able to attempt it here, right? So let's move on to the very first question what we have. Okay, so it says question number 1 to 3, 1 mark question. You have to keep that in mind so that you are able to provide the very correct answer and of appropriate length, right? Do not just go on writing and writing. It can lead to negative marking also, right? So for that, you just need is to focus upon how much marks has been dedicated to a particular question, right? Now, the first question, give the IUPAC name of the compound. So, here is a typical question. You have to do it. See, how you are going to do it? First of all, selecting of the word root 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, you must be thinking that I can have this as my word root. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in a similar manner 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But what do you see? See here, if I select this as my word root, what will happen? How many are the substituents? 1 and 2. 2 substituents. If I go by this one, right? If I go by this one, how many substituents? 1, 2, again 2. But see here. If I select this as my word root, how many substituents? 1, 2, 3. Yes? And that means here comes the rule for the IUPAC as well that I have told you, that whenever you are selecting the word root, just keep in mind that which word root, which carbon chain will be having most number of substituents, highest number of substituents, and that should be selected. And it doesn't matter that it will be longer or shorter, right? We have to select the one having the maximum number of substituents, and we get it over here in the straight chain itself. Clear? So what you have to do is, again, this is what? This is the propyl, N-propyl is there. So I've got 2 methyls and 1 N-propyl. As per the alphabetical order we have to go, see. So what will it be? It's methyl and propyl. M will be coming first, so it's dimethyl, yes? But I need to mention the positions. So for that, again start numbering it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes? On to the second methyl, on to the third propyl. So if I would have gone by this way, right? Then also it would have been the same. It's a kind of a symmetric molecule with propyl group just right in between, right? So I can go by either of the sides. So it will be 2, 4 dimethyl, right? Position is 2, 4 dimethyl along with propyl. So it is on the third one, 3 propyl, and finally it's pent and no unsaturation present, pentane. Clear? I hope everybody is getting the same answer. Fine. Let's move on further. So you have to again keep in mind all the rules for IUPAC naming. Many of the questions arise from this, right? And not only in this chapter, but you know, each and every organic chapter, again from the perspective of IUPAC is important. Second question, select electrophiles from the following. So these are the species given. What are the electrophiles? First of all, you have to judge. Electrophile, you know, I have told you that it is in short is written as E positive, and this gives us an idea that any species having a positive charge, first is this. So let me just strike out. This one is an electrophile, this one is an electrophile, but there is another part of the definition left. That means any species which is electron deficient, and it's not necessary that it will be having positive charge. It can be a carbene complex, it can be BF3, it can be AlCl3, it can be FeCl3 and so on. So these are all, they have got no octet completion over here and due to this no octet completion, they will be having electron deficiency and can act as an electrophile, the species which is ready to fetch, which is ready to take the electrons. So what can you see over here is BF3, while the rest of them are having, naturally they are having the negative charge, so I will be including them in the nucleophiles, not the electrophiles. So these three are the electrophiles. Clear? So I hope everybody is clear with the fact. Now let's move on further. Why is Lasine's extract boiled with concentrated HNO3 nitric acid before testing for halogens? So what is Le first of all? Lasine's extract, sodium fusion extract, yes. So Le is sodium fusion extract. When this Le, sodium fusion means I have taken some organic compound. I don't know whether it is contained with nitrogen. I don't know whether it is contained with any halogen or any sulfur or any kind, right? So for that we have got tests. First, before moving on to the test, we prepare is the Le, right? What is this Lasine's extract, this Le? We fuse that organic compound, entire organic compound with the sodium, right? In a small red hot tube and along with in china dish, right? We know the procedure. I have done the entire procedure with you guys, and in fact I have drawn beautiful pictures as well just to show you that how the procedure is going to take place. Fine. Then once we prepare this Le, everything, every element in that fuses with the sodium, right? It fuses with the sodium. We get is if there is nitrogen present, we get NaCN. If there is sulfur present, we get Na2S, right? If there is halogen present, we get NaX, and that is how it goes. Clear? So this is nothing but Le, Lasine's extract we obtain. Now what they are asking is, why is Lasine's extract boiled with concentrated nitric acid before testing for the halogens? So first of all, you should know what is the test for halogens. For testing of halogens, we need silver nitride to be added, AgNO3, silver nitrate, and if there is some halogen present, let's say X negative, so it will get converted into AgX. That is the particular reaction we want. But if there is nitrogen present in the compound already, if there is sulfur present in the compound already, it hinders in this particular reaction. How? If I would have been given that nitrogen is present in my Lasine extract, definitely Le must be containing NaCN, right? And Le will also be containing Na2S, fine. So if I directly add HNO3, directly add AgNO3 before adding this concentrated HNO3, what happens is, after reaction with the AgNO3, it gets converted into AgCN, right? I cannot get this particular test. I cannot get AgX formed. If there has been the presence of sulfur, so Le would be containing Na2S, and on adding AgNO3 we get Ag2S, yes? It's a kind of a black precipitate which is formed. So basically, due to this hindrance of these ions, sulfide ion, S2 negative this is, cyanide ion, we do what? Before moving on to this test, we boil it with concentrated HNO3 so that these species get oxidized, they do not hinder in the process then, and finally we can very well comfortably test for the halogens and we will get the positive results. Clear? So that is why, due to the hindrance of these ions, we have to boil it. Clear? So I hope everybody is clear with it. Let's move to the next question. Now question 4 to 7, 2-mark question. Again Keep that in mind so that you are able to answer it properly. What are carbocations and carbanions? You know what carbocations and carbanions are? Explain stability of primary, secondary, tertiary carbocations and carbanions, right? So what is first of all carbocations? Carbocations, a carbon, right? Let's see. It's a very basic that I have drawn here. It's a 0 degree carbocation. So what is happening here is carbocation is basically a species which is trigonal planar, you know this, having an empty p orbital, empty unhybridized p orbital, right? Having a positive charge, that means there are no electrons, this is empty orbital, right? And this is bonded with 3 of the species, maybe the hydrogens, maybe some more carbons, some more R groups, right? That would lead to the formation of a carbocation. So it has got deficiency of electrons, you see it, right? Now this is carbocation. If I talk about carbanion, are you able to draw the ammonia structure? The similar structure would be for the carbanion. So basically carbanion is a species like this, having one free electron, a negative charge over it, right? So that is what a carbanion is, basic structure I have drawn here, right? So what you have to do is different type of carbocations and carbanions. I have got primary, I have got secondary, I have got tertiary, right? I have got primary, I have got secondary, I have got tertiary. Let's form them. Primary one is a carbon attached with one more carbon, a carbon attached with one more carbon, yes. Secondary means a carbon attached with 2 carbons, a carbon attached with 2 carbons. Third one, a carbon attached with 3 carbons, yes, and that is what tertiary carbocation is. If I talk about the stability, see here, this is a positive charge, it must be stabilized. So who is going to stabilize it? The plus I effect, the inductive effect, the donation effect of this alkyl group. So there is only one alkyl group which will be donating, thereby stabilizing it. But over here what you see, there are 2 alkyl groups which are donating. Here 3 alkyl groups. That means in which of them will be more stabilization of the charge, this positive charge? This one. So the stability goes 3, 2, 1, clear? And just the opposite will be in the case for carbanions, right? Again, a carbon attached with 1 carbon, yes. Next, a carbon attached with 2 carbons, a carbon attached with 3 carbons. Now what I have to do is, these are again donating groups, but these donating groups are doing the wrong work over here. They are destabilizing it because already it was having a lone pair, already it was having a negative charge over it, and the donation effect of this plus I group, this alkyl group, is destabilizing it, it's creating more repulsions into it, due to which what is happening, the order just reverses. We get is this is more stable, then this, and then this, right? So carbocations will be having the order opposite with the carbanions. Clear? Let's move on further then. I am rubbing this off. So you have to write the proper definitions of each and everything, right? Next one, write out the error and write the correct IUPAC names of it. So it's a very interesting question. What you have to do is just try to make a formula out of it, a structural formula out of it. 1,6-hexadiene, right? See here, hexa means 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And what they are saying is 1,6-hexadiene, 1 and 6, yes? Clear? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Can you guess what is the error over here? Let me just complete the valencies of the carbon first. Right? What is the error? What do you think? See here, the question is 1,6-hexadiene, right? Diene means 2 double bonds are there, but on 1 and 6, and it is hexa. See here, if I would have numbered it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So where would I have placed my, what should be the location for the double bonds? 1, 5 it should be, not 1, 6, right? So all in all, the structure, this particular name will be resulting in a wrong structure. So that is what the error is, and the correct IUPAC name for this particular compound, what they are trying to say, will be 1,5-hexadiene. Yes, that is the correction over here. Clear? So some of the students get confused in these type of questions. You do not have to, just figure it out in, let's say, having an out of the box thinking, but just try to write down what they have already given. Then you will exactly figure it out that what the correction has to be made. 2-ethyl-2-pentene, right? Now, 2-ethyl-2-pentene. First of all, pent, right? 2-pentene, 1, 2. That means double bond to be placed here. 2-ethyl, 1, 2. Can you figure it out? See here, it's very interesting. Okay, let me just complete the valencies. CH2, CH3, right? Now, how are you going to number it? So, first of all, what they have given is 2-ethyl, right? You see, this ethyl should have been included in the word root itself. It would have been a longer chain then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, 2 carbons are there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 they have given, right? So I have got the mistake over here that it should be 2-methyl or what? Yes, see, not 2-methyl. Let us just try to number it. I am expanding this ethyl group. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it will be 3-methyl, yeah. Right, 3-methyl along with what? Pent or 2-pentene it was, but now it becomes 3-pentene. 3-pentene, clear? It was 1,5-hexadiene. Clear about it? So, okay, this completes my second part as well. So, each of them will be given half of mark, fine? Because it's not a rocket science as such. Write the structural formula of 2,3-dimethylbutane. It's a simple one. You have to just form the structural formula. 2,3-dimethylbutane, but, you know. 2,3 means this, and you get the answer. Yes, it's simple. Done. 4-methylpentine, it's very simple. Pent-ine, ine must be placed where? On the first position, it's understood, right? 4-methyl, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we shall complete the valencies here. Done. That is the answer. Clear about it? This is also done. Now, let's move on to the next question then. List the following carbocations in the order of the decreasing stability. Now, these are the carbocations which have been given, right? And what do you see? What do you observe first of all? Just try to observe. Do not just keep on writing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 carbons are present in each of them. Fine. On to the first carbon, I have got positive charges. Yes. What else do I see? I see the difference is first carbon, second carbon. Here on second carbon, the Cl is attached. Here on third carbon, the Cl is attached. And here on, again, the third carbon, the CH3 is attached. Fine. Now what is the difference of these attachments? How will these attachments will be influencing these positive charges? I need is the order of decreasing stability, starting with the highest, most stable to the lowest one, right? So see here, chlorine. We will talk about the inductive effect in this case. Inductive effect. Cl. What kind of an inductive effect does Cl show? Minus I, yes, it is attracting one. Fine. What kind of an inductive effect does CH3 shows? It's an alkyl group, it's a donating one. Clear? Now coming on to this one, again a attracting, right? So this is minus I effect, this is plus I, this is minus I. If there is a positive charge, I should have a group which is donating, or I should have a group which is withdrawing. I should have a group which is donating definitely, then only it will stabilize that positive charge or not, yes? So over here see, I have got chlorine, it will be destabilizing, it will be stabilizing, and it will be destabilizing, yes? Now moving on to the two chlorines, which will be more destabilizing, the one which will be nearer. Inductive effect is always dependent upon the distance, we know, right? So here nearer Cl will destabilize more, yes, and this completes my answer, which will be the most unstable one. It will be this, right? So if I try to number it as 1, 2 and 3, which is the most stable? The one having plus I effect, right? So it will be 2. The next one will be first, because Cl is far away, it will be less destabilizing, and finally the third one, right? Clear about it? I hope everybody has got the order over here. Now let's move on to the 7th question. Identify the most stable species in the following sets of ions, giving reasons. Now what do you see? It's a very interesting question. These are the carbocations, you know this, right? Carbon ions, you know this again. If I want the stability, right? Identify the most stable. So if I want the stability of all, we have to see that what all species are attached to it, fine? So see here, I have got Br and Cl, right? I have got Br and I have got Cl. Both are showing what effect? It's the minus I effect, fine? It's the minus I effect. We know this. So that means they are withdrawing. More the number of withdrawing groups attached, more will be the positivity. There will not be a stability, there will not be a stabilization of the positive charge. So what will happen? Most stable will be the one having no withdrawing group present, and it is this. In others, there is Br attached, which is attracting more, thereby making it more and more positive, right? In fact, we have to neutralize it. If I've got a positive charge, I need to neutralize it in such a manner that it should have electrons given to it and it gets neutral. So that is what the concept is. If I talk about the next one, all of the carbons are given negative charges. I should have an attracting group. I have got so many attracting groups, but not in this case. So this is the least stable over here. So what I need is a species which will be attracting these negative charges, making it neutral. So more the number of minus I effects, more stable will be the species, yes? And thereby, this particular species is the most stable out of the 4. Clear? So let's move on further. So here you have to write the proper explanations, right? Do not just go, because it was, see here, it was a 2-mark question. I need 2 full marks, right? Don't just pick out and strike out the answer. just give a slight reason, just a one line reason for each and everything over here, right? Next one, 8 to 9, 3 mark question now comes up. Explain the terms inductive effect and electromeric effects. Which electron displacement effect explains the following correct orders of acidity of carboxylic acids? So, I have picked this question directly from the NCERT. I wanted to discuss this particular question because many of the students have doubts as to how I have to apply the concept in such questions, determining the acidity order or determining the basicity order. Fine. So, first of all, what is inductive, what is electromeric? Let us discuss. Inductive, we know that whenever there is a compound, first of all, what is the difference between the two? One is the permanent and one is the temporary, right? Permanent because it always prevails in the molecule, fine. So, what does inductive effect say? See here, this is a molecule, inductive effect will always be there. It's a slight polarization basically. See here, Cl is withdrawing group. So, it will be withdrawing these bond electrons slightly towards itself, thereby generating a polarity in the covalent bond. Polar covalent bond, it will be minus. Delta negative and delta positive charge will be developed, right. So, these electrons slightly shift towards chlorine, fine, and this becomes positive, thereby again withdrawing. It will be withdrawing then these electrons towards itself, but not that much, right. The power will not be that much as in the case of Cl. So, the charge which will be developed will be slightly less, fine. And if I move on to the third carbon, let us say, again there will be shifting of electrons and development of the charge, but very, very less. So, it exists up to the third atom. That is what the inductive effect is, that is the polarization, the shifting of the electrons within the carbon chain, that is inductive effect. If I talk about the electromeric effect, what is it? So, basically see, I have got a compound here and I am making it react with, it is an alkene, I am making it react with H positive, fine. So, what will happen? Whenever the H positive, it is a species having a positive charge, it needs electrons. From where it will get the electrons? It will get it from the here, right. These are the pi electrons which are free. There will be a cloud, electron cloud. There will be an electron cloud over here. It can very well come up here towards the electron cloud. Now, when the species approaches this alkene, there will be the shifting of these pi electrons to any one of the carbons, right. Let us say here. So, what will happen? The carbon having negative charge will be attacked by the H positive. So, basically earlier there was no effect. When I introduce the species, there is shifting of the pi electrons, right. So, basically that is what the electromeric effect is, that the shifting of the electrons in the presence of a species, right, during a reaction basically. So, that is what electromeric effect is. I have got a E plus and E minus. Again, I am not going into the detail of that, I have just given you an idea what the effects are. Again, minus I and plus I have got two effects over here for the inductive as well, right. Now, let us move on to the acidity, determining the acidities, and you see these are simple compounds which have been given. So, basically these compounds will be having a permanent effect, not a temporary, because temporary is the electromeric and it always occurs in the presence of a species. I am not given species over here, but just the simple molecules. So, what can I say is, first of all, which electron displacement effect explains it? It is the inductive effect. Yes? Okay, then let me just discuss that how acidity order has been decided, fine. See here. I am just taking one example right here, C, Cl, Cl, Cl. This is attracting, attracting, attracting. Each one of them is an attracting one, thereby these electrons will be shifting here. Each and every electron, in fact up to this oxygen, they will be shifted towards here. This H positive can go off very easily, thereby it will be a very good acid. Now if I move here, see, how many attracting groups? 2. Earlier there were 3. So there will be more release of H positive here as compared to here, because only 2 minus I groups are present, and here only 1 minus I group. So H positive removal will be a little difficult. So that is what the acidity order here says. Clear? More the number of minus I groups, more will be the acidity of the concerned carboxylic acid. Now if we talk about this particular, so here what do you see? They have introduced CH3 groups. See, they are increasing, right? So if I just say that instead of the attracting groups I put donating groups, what will happen? Donating, donating, donating. They are donating the electrons, thereby there will be more electron density generated on this oxygen, and this hydrogen removal will be very difficult, right? How? See, it will be something like this. If this oxygen will attract these electrons towards itself, thereby H positive can go off. If this oxygen is not attracting these electrons, it will not go off. That is what the concept is applied here. See, so more number of plus I groups, least will be the acidity, right? And least number of plus I groups, more will be the acidity. Clear? So I hope everybody is clear with this order, right? Let's move to the question number 9. Okay, so it's a big one. 3 students, Manish, Ramesh, Rajni, were determining the extra element present in an organic compound. So I have got an organic compound given by the teacher. They prepared the Lascine's extract, yes. They do it, yes. Fusing the sodium, they prepared the Le. Yeah, right. Then they added solid FeSO4 to it. FeSO4 they have added. What do they observe? Manish and Rajni obtained Prussian blue, right? One of them, right? A group of Manish and Rajni, they obtained Prussian blue color. Yes, while if you see here, but Ramesh got red color only. So Ramesh also performed the same reaction, Le plus FeSO4. It had obtained red color. Yes. So they were very surprised. They went to the teacher and told him about their observations. Teacher asked them. Teacher counteracted that, them to think over the reason for this. Teacher asked them to think about the reason for this. Can you help them giving the reason for this observation and also write the chemical reactions involved in that, right? So what is it? See here, they have prepared the Le, right? How they are obtaining the Prussian blue? First of all, what test is this? Tell me. So this is the test for the nitrogen. Test for nitrogen, in which what happens is I have got Le, definitely it should be NaCN, right? So NaCN when reacted with FeSO4 in the presence of Conc H2SO4. Okay, first of all, this is the reaction. What will happen in this case is FeCN whole 6 4 negative will be produced. Now due to the addition of concentrated H2SO4 in this reaction, what happens is some of the Fe2 plus ions which are here, right, it gets converted into Fe3 plus, which again react with this compound formed, right? And what do we get in this case, in this scenario? We get is a complex which is also known as Prussian blue color, having Prussian blue, right? Cn whole 6 and 3 into XH2O, because it's a solution, so there will be hydrated molecules present, XH2O. Clear? So that is the very first reaction in which they obtain Prussian blue color. Now coming on to the why they are obtained with the red color. So what happens is, if along with the nitrogen, if there is the presence of sulfur, sulfur creates a hindrance in this test. So basically, instead of NaCN getting formed in the Le, what is formed is NaSCN. And now due to this NaSCN, again if we are going to perform the same reaction, making it react with FeSO4, we get we get FeSCN 2 positive. We get this compound formed, right? Because the sulfur has hindered, and instead of NaCN, instead of this NaCN, we are formed with NaSCN, which has formed this blood red colored looking compound, and due to which there were different observations in both of the cases. Clear about it? And they had prepared the Lysines extract independently. That means Manish and Rajni have prepared independently, whereas Ramesh has prepared independently, but the organic compound is same. That means what? That means here also sulfur would have hindered, because the organic compound taken by them is same. Now what is the catch over here? The catch is why we are not getting any blood red coloration, although there is the presence of sulfur here. What happens is, they must have, Manish and Rajni must have used excess of sodium. In excess of sodium, what we get is sulfur gets decomposed, NaSCN, which is formed here, it gets decomposed and it again gives up NaCN in the mixture. And that is why one of the groups is getting blue color, other group, that is Ramesh. Yes, Ramesh has taken up limited quantity of sodium for the fusion and it got the red color. He got the red color in this. Clear about it? So there were three things over here in this question. One thing, the general reaction for the nitrogen test. Second, when the sulfur gets hindered, what will happen? And third, that why, although the presence of sulfur is not affecting this test over here, right? Because the sulfur gets decomposed if we take up excess of sodium. Clear? So that was an important question. Let's move to the last question of this questionnaire round. 5-mark question. First is, draw the resonance structures of the following compounds, show the electron shift, curved arrow notation. You must know this. This is important. So I have got is, first of all, you recognize this compound C6H5OH. It's the phenol, right? So you know that phenol has got lone pairs. The lone pairs. Now, what is the resonance condition you have observed here? It's the double single lone pairs. So what will be the shifting? How will be the shifting? Jump on the ground, jump on the floor, and then jump on the head. Yes. Next resonance structure. There will be a double bond maintained here, positive here and negative here. Jump on the floor and then jump on the head, right? And so you have to make it. I am not going to make all the resonance structures. That is how the resonance structure will be maintained. Clear? First done. Second one, C6H5CH2 positive. So it's a benzyl carbocation if you recognize. Double single positive, resonance condition fulfilled. Now it will be reverse direction because these electrons must neutralize this positive charge. So it will be jump on the floor, that's it. So what will happen? A positive charge will be created here, right? Double bond here. Again jump on the floor. And so, what do you obtain as a resonance hybrid is this. Right? Clear? Next. So it's basically an aliphatic compound they have given. So what is it? It's a very simple one. It's an aldehyde and an unsaturated aldehyde. Yes? Can you do it? Double, single, double. So where the shifting will take place? Towards the more electronegative atom, oxygen. This will getting shifted, delta positive obtained here, delta negative here. Delta positive must be fulfilled by these, right? So double, single, positive, and that is how the resonance structure goes. That is what the resonance structure is, another resonance structure, and this will be very unstable because it has got charge separation. Clear? Let's move on further. So that was the part number 1, which again carries 1 mark each. If I move to part number 2, it's an interesting one. Identify the functional groups in the following compounds. So what all functional groups do you see over here? See? In the first compound, N. Here also N. Here is this particular, right? Let me just name it what all we have. This is what? Amine, right? And amine is primary amine. Here nitrogen is connected with 3 alkyl groups. So this is tertiary amine. Yes? Are you able to do that? This one, this is, see here, O, and yeah, there is one more carbon over here, right? So just consider, try to consider this particular carbon over here, fine? So it's a carbon which is doubly bonded, right? And this carbon is attached from one side with O, from the other side with the phenyl ring, C6H5 and blah blah, right? What is this group over here? Tell me. It is the ester. Ether is basically having only one oxygen in between and no carbons. So this is the ester group we have. Clear? The next one, see, COCl, you can observe. Here is another N. Now, this N is connected with 2 alkyl groups and 1 hydrogen. It's a secondary amine basically. Yes? And if I talk about this one, what is this? Carbonyl chloride, right? So it is COCl. What the group is? Carbonyl chloride is the functional group. If you don't know, just remember that this particular group is known as carbonyl chloride. Clear about it? And yes, that completes the entire question around. The 10th question has been done. So I hope everybody is clear with the ideas. Just write the explanation for each and every question once again. Do it yourself, try it out. Even if still you have any confusions, you can go through the video once again. You can go through your textbooks. Then also if you are not able to do, if you are having any kinds of doubts, you can always reach out to me. So just to revise what we have done, and I'll be back in the next session with the next chapter. Till then, have a nice day.